Hi, I trust this finds you well. I hope you've had a good week. Here's a thought from Parsha Tetzaveh. It is essentially a continuation from last week's Parsha. Last week, in great detail, we spoke of the architecture and the dimensions and the furniture of the Mishkan, of the sanctuary in the desert. This week, in great detail, the Torah describes the clothing, the beautiful clothing that the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, wore whilst fulfilling his unique mission in the sanctuary. The colors and the materials and the gemstones that were used all made up these beautiful vestments that the Kohen would wear in the Mishkan. Because he held such a unique position, because he represented the people, he would wear these clothing that would constantly remind him, it would impress upon him to act the right way, to embody being the Kohen Gadol, being the high priest, which is a fascinating idea how clothing changes our actions. In fact, research tells us that not only does it affect our actions, the clothing we wear, the color of our clothing, the material, the shape, affects our mood, affects our emotions, and yes, affects the way we act throughout the day. But not only is it the external factor of clothing that affects us internally. Our attitude, our internal being is really affected by our actions. The things that we do affect us inside and makes us who we are. In fact, James Clear writes in his book Atomic Habits, and I'm reading it for the second time right now, how do you become a dancer? By dancing. How do you become a runner? By running. How do you become a giver? By giving. The things that we do often, the things that we do frequently, determines who we are as a human being. So just like the clothing of the Kohen Gadol really impressed upon him and reminded him constantly of who he was, so too our Parsha reminds us that it is the things that we do externally, the actions, the way we behave towards others, that really determines who we are as human beings. Lots to think about from this week's Parsha. Shabbat Shalom, and have a wonderful Purim Sameach for the coming week. Take care.